We've got another exciting
Welcome.
guest sitting here with us, Jordan. And Jordan, you're kind of a renaissance man when it comes to the things that you've got going on. So we first met at Leadership Huntsville,
Yep.
Spark Class 3.
Best
Shout
class
out,
ever.
Best class ever. But we connected instantly, and I saw your photography stuff. Later, I heard about what you did with the radio hosting. And now this new opportunity of social media marketing, this whole industry that you're jumping into is super exciting. So I'm looking forward to jumping into this. But what was like the first kind of initial things that got you involved in like the young professional kind of scene, the environment, community?
Are we talking specifically Huntsville or just in general?
Just in general,
Okay,
yeah.
so it was probably around high school. So I had a mentor in high school. Loved him. His name was Jomo. Jomo was friends with my mother in high school. So they had been running around the same communities and stuff like that. And so when we figured out that we were going to move from Los Angeles to Portland, Oregon, my mentor Jomo was like, bro, y'all gotta like I'm gonna take you under my wing and I'm gonna make sure that you like care about the community and that you're willing to put in work for them. And so throughout high school, I was working with him and we built a website from the ground up that was a business listing for all the black businesses that were in the Oregon metro area.
Cool.
And we spent probably 3 years on that, building it.
Like an index.
Yeah. So like you could go on and see what was in your area, search up your city and see what was in your area.
Yeah.
We had made plans to like sell people ad space on the website, get like, hey, if you could pay for a week, you'll be the featured business of the week. It never really took off, but it was vital to me understanding that it's really not difficult to start your own thing.
Yeah.
The hard part is the mental block.
Right.
And so my mentor was able to really get me exposed to the realm of self-governance and entrepreneurship and really creating something that the community will value rather than working for a corporation to make your small stake in some larger game. And don't get me wrong, it's fine if you do that.
Yeah.
There's people who have plenty of success doing it, just not the avenue for me.
Yeah. So it was really taking advantage of the opportunities you were presented with and then saying, I'm going to go out and find them myself. Got it.
And then a lot of it was he was an avid gamer.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing him be like, yeah, I wake up in the morning and I work for 3 or 4 hours and then I play games at the end of the day because I made all the money I needed to make in my 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
And that was just like, I want to live like that.
Yeah. What did he do?
My mentor?
Yeah.
Oh, he was just a computer guru.
Oh,
He was
okay.
one of those dudes when computers first started becoming like readily available, he just learned how to code. And so he would just go around and he would help the people around in his community just with computer stuff. So
That's awesome.
if I thought I had my hand in a bunch of stuff, like I couldn't even tell you what he did. 'Cause He
Yeah.
did so much. He would do computer consulting. I helped him do a typing class for senior citizens one day.
Oh, wow.
He was doing graphics work for so many different people. He was doing video rendering for people. He just anything that you could do with a computer, he was putting his hands in somehow. So
That's incredible.
he was truly like the definition of an entrepreneur through and through. We actually ended up doing we did a couple of video game tournaments.
Hey.
We ran a couple fight game tournaments for the fight game scene in Portland. And then we did one event and it was a program that he wanted to get started that was teaching kids how to run statistics with NBA 2K. So he would have kids play a game of NBA 2K, and then he had a whole curated like math lesson that would be depending on their stats that they had for the game.
That I feel like that is a great way to teach because it's you're finding something that kids like, and then you're making educational content go along with that, and that like resonates. I feel like a whole lot more than a normal basic math class or statistics class. I think that's super cool. I want to go back to what you said about the mental block because I feel like that is a huge thing, even for me, and I know for probably some of our viewers, is that you get caught up in day-to-day life of just like trying to survive. How did you navigate around that to be like, okay, you know what, I can do all these extra things?
It was It was a combination of a few things. One of the major things was actually just seeing my mentor being like, for this job, I want to make $500. So I'm going to charge $500. And I was like, whoa, wait. But what's market rate? And he was like, market rate's whatever I need. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so it's less of cutting yourself into an already established market and more of creating a market for yourself, something that works for you. So seeing him just being able to come up with a number and being like, this is what it's worth to me was really big for me. So that was when I first realized, I was like, okay, I gotta not care so much about asking people for money when I want things to happen. I have to just know what I want to make off of this.
Yeah.
And I'm a little different when it comes to making money off of things, specifically like photography. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love to take pictures.
Yeah.
I can't do it for free because these photography, I just happen to pick the expensive hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not of course it's nice to make a profit, but for me, it's difficult to put a price on someone's memories.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more of an artistic endeavor. So when it comes to taking off the mental block, when you're an artist, you got to get off of social media. You have to take time to really engross yourself in your art. What do you want to create?
So that photographer's eye, how did that come about? What were the I mean, part of it happens naturally, but you can also curate it. But you have a style. Like, how do you curate that style?
Oh man, that's such a great question. Because 6 months ago, I would not have been able to tell you because I didn't feel like I had a style 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Really what it was I actually started just actively meeting more photographers. I actively started for example, I said you have to get off of social media. The reason why you have to get off of social media is because you have to retrain yourself to see social media as a tool.
Agreed.
Social media,
Producer, not a consumer.
and a lot of people
Facts.
start social media off as a consumer. So it's hard to make that switch.
Yeah.
So
That's some good advice.
So what you end up doing, especially as an artist, when you're going on social media, is you start comparing yourself to people who've been doing it for way too long, and not like way too long, and like it's a bad thing, but like they have it down to a science. They know, hey, I know that when I go and I shoot at this event, I know that venue needs a 1.8 aperture, and I know I need to be shooting at 250 of a second. Like they know it.
Yeah.
You have to get to a point where you know it like the back of your hand.
Right.
And social media is a good tool to emulate that when you can't pay for things like your master classes, when you can't go out and get your photo Bibles and stuff like that. Social media is a huge resource because there's plenty of photographers who will answer your questions. I've had some of my favorite photographers respond to me, and I've been like, hey, what light are you using? And they'll be like, hey, I'm using this light, but don't use my light because I spent $5,000 on this.
Yeah.
Go get you something that'll work for you, but this is what you could work towards.
Yeah.
So it's just, when you're thinking about your own style, you have to not be influenced by anything else.
Yeah.
You have to engross yourself in taking pictures for yourself.
Yeah.
You have to engross yourself in singing for yourself. You have to engross yourself for writing for yourself. It's one of those things where you have to really become a hermit to be an artist.
Yeah.
And you can't skip that step.
You can take influence from other things,
Yeah.
though,
You certainly can.
But I know what you're saying with the whole social media thing, like use it as a tool. I think that's a big thing. Is when I was younger, I even viewed it as like a tool because I had a meme account. I ran with my friend, and we kind of
also
like
had a meme
it
account.
was fun, but I didn't take it as serious as I could have because I could have made money off that
yeah.
if I had done it right. And the thing is now I like falling back. Okay, I'm just scrolling. I'm the user. I'm just scrolling through content. But now I'm really like pressing as like using it as a tool. I like to use it to see what my friends are up to. But I think that's the biggest thing is like you get into this cycle of you're just like getting sucked in, and you go to work to survive. You go home, make food, and now you're just like sucked in, and you don't have any energy or time left to like be the creator and use the tool. And I think that's like, I wanted to ask you what advice you might have for young people or entrepreneurs or business people or young professionals.
Let's talk about radio first, because I bet you've got some advice for radio, and we can wrap the advice all together.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but no, he answered my question.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Is like
Yeah.
that advice you said. I mean, that answered what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, and that was perfect. Like one of the things that I've said before is some of the advice for young people is just get started. Don't take away the significance that your mind has on these mental blocks and these roadblocks and all of that, and then write that business plan. Figure out what your mission is, your vision, how you're going to do it, your strategy, all of that, and then execute. But for you, so how did you get involved in the radio thing? Because you think like radio, that's the funnel for radio hosts are probably like there's podcast hosts and there's probably some like TV personalities like news anchors and that sort of thing. But how did you get involved in hosting for a radio?
Go to school for it?
It was luck.
Really?
It was pure luck.
Really?
This would have been early 2020. This would have been early
Okay.
2020.
So right around when COVID hit.
I was working at Books A Million
Yeah.
over on Memorial Parkway.
Yeah.
I was working at Books A Million, and it was dry. It was dead at Books A Million until COVID. When COVID happened, we were the best store in the city because everybody was like, they needed their phonics books. Phonics books were selling like crazy. People wanted to get magazines. People just got back into reading. It was really cool to watch. One of the current hosts ended up coming into Books A Million to buy some magazines because she was like, hey, I don't buy magazines anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to come into a bookstore because there's nowhere else that's really open. And I think it was, I'm trying to think, 2020. Was that not the, when they stormed the Capitol? I want to say that was in 2020 as well.
November 6th or whatever it was.
Yeah, January 6th when that happened.
January
But so
6th, yeah.
politics was just like the big happening talk. We started to get into some political discourse because those were the books that were in the front. And her name was Dory Nutt. She just ended up liking our conversation and was like, hey, you actually like carry yourself really well in the conversation. We've been looking for young people to come down to the radio station and see if they like it for years now, and nobody seems to want to come. Here's my card if you're ever interested.
Cool.
And I happen to live a 10-minute walk away. I didn't have a car at the time. I was like, yeah, I would love to. I was always told as a kid that I had a voice for like commercials and stuff like that.
You definitely do, bro. You definitely do.
And so I was like, hey, this is like my chance to really like try it. So I emailed her and I was like, hey, I'd love to see what you do down at the radio station. So they invited me down and she showed me what she did in a day and then was like, if you ever want to come and guest produce an episode, I'll totally let you.
Cool.
And then they closed down officially for COVID.
Right.
They ended up getting COVID. Someone got COVID there, so they closed down officially.
Yeah.
And I was bummed. I was like, dang, I really thought I had my in to a really cool industry. And then so I didn't hear anything from them for about 6 months, and then I decided to just email them again. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, you know, I'm just gonna see if they let me come back. I'm 10 minutes away. I can walk down there. And they emailed me back like instantly. And then that's when I got to meet the program director. Mm-hmm. No, sorry, not the program director, the station manager, Brett Tannehill. He's a great guy. He ended up liking the show that I ended up producing. He was like, you did a good job. You carried yourself well. I'd love to give you a Friday show to host. Mm-hmm. And when we say host, it's like I come in at the top of the hour and I just say, hey, you've been listening to 89.3 WLRH, and this is Science Friday. Keep listening, please. Mm-hmm. But so I did that, and I would come after I was going to UAH, and they're on UAH's campus. So I would go to class, and then I would go down to the radio station and record what I needed to do. And then I would go home, and then I did that for about 6 months, and then Brett offered me a part-time gig. And so cool. I've been there since 2022.
Okay.
I've been there since 2022 working, and so now I do twice a week. So tomorrow morning I'll be there at 5:30 in the morning to do morning edition. So I do that on Monday and Wednesday. And then I cut breaks on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the top of the hour. So I'll be the dude who comes on and says, hey, give us money because we're a public radio station.
Yeah.
And yeah, anytime, every once in a while I'll do a little interview here and there with a with a band. I've interviewed Common Man. They were great. They were my first.
Cool.
Common Man was great. I did The Neighbors. They were super fun. And then I just recently did an interview with Treetop, and that one hasn't gone live yet because we have one show that's on hiatus, and I want it to be for that show. Yeah. And I'm trying to hold up as long as I can. Sorry, Nigel. But so we also started a show called The Update, and those are at 5:30 on Fridays, but they're on hiatus right now.
Jordan, you know who you remind me of when it comes to voice and sort of personality? I think Sean already knows, but Neil deGrasse Tyson. Have you ever heard that?
I've actually never gotten that before, but like
no, you have like the personality, like
thinking about it, like
I would watch a TV show if you were.
You went to go hear him speak or whatever.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That's really cool. Doesn't he do?
It's like
Nova
astrophysics and stuff.
Yeah, he's the astrophysicist. But yeah, doesn't he? I'm almost certain he narrated a couple episodes of Nova.
Yeah, but what was the show that he used to host? That was Carl Sagan started it.
Oh man, I can't remember what it is for the life of me, but I know exactly which show you're talking about.
I can't remember. Anyway,
but I do enjoy a Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast. I do enjoy the way he speaks.
Yeah, but like, no, I can definitely see why this woman would see that.
You have a good voice for radio. I don't like my voice, but I do a podcast, which is ironic.
That's you getting past that mental block.
Exactly. Like, and I feel like I just love the excitement and passion that you have for everything you're doing. Like, it gives me like excitement is like secondhand excitement almost, you know, because I think you're doing a lot of cool things, and it seems like you have gone through a bunch of stuff and you've like kind of paved your path of like where you're going. So what are some things? I know we talked about, you're getting into this social media type of thing. Did we talk about that at all? Do we want to, let's go into that a little bit. Well, we don't, because I know it's not set in stone yet, so maybe we don't want to as much, but what are you doing coming up? Some things.
Why, like, what was the transition, I think, like from radio and photography into that? Like, because that just, I mean, it's hard to see the funnel. What was that?
Money.
This goes all the way back to my mentor again.
Yeah.
So when I was living in Portland, I ended up, it's just crazy how, if it's one thing I could say, connections are the most important thing that you can have just in any business.
That's what I hear.
In anything. It's about
when are mine going to start paying off?
It's about who you know. It's about who you know, and just always being ready. Because I'm in Portland, and my mentor gives me a job. He would just give me random jobs just here and there.
The same gentleman that before?
Yeah, same gentleman. So Jomo tells me that he's got a friend who's starting up this business, and it's a local music all ages venue type of thing where he brings in musicians in high school and he gives them a venue to play at. And they needed me to film it. And so, I just took the job because I like money. Sure, I'll record it. He ends up liking my video so much that he's like, hey, if I ever have an opportunity again, I'll shoot it over to you. That same dude wants me to start doing graphic design for his shows.
Yeah.
So then I start doing graphic design for his shows. He is friends with my current boss at the YouTube job. He needed somebody to edit videos, and so he recommended me.
Cool.
So I get into there, and then that's how I break into the social media world. Because then I start editing videos for YouTube. Then my boss one day, he's like, hey, would you ever like be interested in the back end of YouTube and like really like what it takes to manage a YouTube channel? Of course. As a kid, the only thing I wanted to do was have a Minecraft YouTube channel. That's the only thing I wanted to do.
And that's how it plays into the caravan.
And so, so I was really excited because I was like, wow, I could really like spend some time getting to understand how YouTube works so that one day I could make that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so I just ended up just telling him, Yammer, whatever you want to teach me, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
And so he took me under his wing and showed me all the stuff that has to do with Google Ads, setting ad campaigns, setting bids for ads online. It's such an intricate world. But the funny thing is, anyone can do it. It's easy. It's really not hard.
Yeah.
It's knowing the tools well enough to use it in an effective strategy.
Yeah.
And
your systems, exactly.
And that takes time.
Right.
And so I would still consider myself a beginner when it comes to these kind of things, even though I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do. It just starts to make sense one day. Like I wish I could say it anything more than that. It's just that
makes sense.
One technical question I want to go into, maybe for my own personal knowledge. What would be like? What is a typical budget for doing a campaign, like an ad campaign?
We talking higher or low budget?
For a lower budget.
A lower budget, it would depend on what you're looking for. So for example, we are looking to bid no more than 1/3 of a cent on an ad. That's about how much we want to spend at Caravan.
So if you're making $100,000, you're spending 25.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the YouTube channels that we work for gives us $1,000 for the month for an ad campaign.
Is that a low budget?
That's a decent budget. The lowest I've worked with is there was one series that I was promoting, and they would have to get a promotion every Friday, and that was $100 for that one video. And that would usually spend about like $13 a day for a week.
That's not much.
And that's not much. It'd probably net us around, if it was a good video, around 500 views. You know, you're not really trying to get too much. But I've worked with campaigns that have been for like major brand collaborations, and they've been like 45K. Like they're moving money.
For like one
entire ad campaign. Now what they'll do is sometimes they'll break up that ad campaign into smaller
pieces.
Like smaller pieces. So like they may have an entire campaign that has a $40,000 budget, but they have 4 weeks of content planned, and each one's gonna be like
10K.
Like 5, 6, 7. It just depends.
Yeah.
It just depends. And they're always on a the best way I could put it is like this. There are no off days in the music industry. There's no such thing as an off day. So I might get a Slack one day and it'll be like, hey, we need to increase the budget by $2,000. And that's just what happens.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you're really trying to, like, let's just say your average person is trying to promote their YouTube channel for $100 in a month, and you'll see significant differences.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people just aren't willing to spend money on ads.
Yeah.
Most people are scared of it.
Is
$10 could do a lot.
What's some like, let's say I'm running ads for my my brand, right? Trip Cases. I know that there's things you can go in and play with the audience and pick out who you're targeting and all those types of things. So I guess it'd be important to do your market research on who you're targeting. And then from there, do you want a bigger group of people, or do you want to niche it down into like, do you want to pick a smaller group of people?
Such an interesting question, because we're going through that right now. We're at that stage where we feel like we've gotten all of the easy. So we have a campaign right now that is specifically targeting getting people to subscribe. We want to drive subscribers up. The hard part about driving subscribers is you have to get people to do that. People won't just always do that because they watch a video. So it also has to do with what you're presenting content-wise. Is it something that people want to watch? So that's the first question. The good thing about YouTube is that if you're using YouTube and Google Ads, they're pretty synonymous with each other. So you can pretty much do most of your market research through YouTube because it's all readily available to you. A lot of people just don't go and look in YouTube Studio and go see where their audience is. And if you don't have any audience, that's great. Just keep making videos. You'll get an audience. It'll happen. It may take some time, but you'll get it. We're at the point now where we don't know if it's better to get really, really niche or keep it wide. So we have one YouTube channel that we work for, and they're very focused on the senior citizen side of things. Very much local news. Young people don't really go towards local news that much because we're all on our phones. We get global news. That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
We want to know what's happening in other countries.
Yeah.
Older people tend to want to know what's happening in their community. But the problem is that old people don't subscribe. They don't get it. And no slight. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
It's new technology.
It's a scam.
So-
Subscribing's a scam.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah. A lot of people, a lot of senior citizens will think that, like, it comes with money or something like that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
subscriptions back in the day was like subscriptions for magazines.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're selling phone cases, you know that most of the phone cases are going to come from people who are our age, especially when you're talking about phone cases that like our personalities, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be better for you to find the exact ages of people who want to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have a very tight margin of people who will buy your stuff, and then a very wider margin of people who may be interested. So if you are wanting to spend money on ads, you want that ad money to work for you. I don't want to waste my money on people who are just going to be an impression.
Yeah.
I want the people who are going to be, and these are Google ad terms. I want the people who are going to be conversions. I want the people who are going to come and actually spend their money.
Yeah.
So if you could get more specific, I'm gonna probably say that's gonna be your best bet, because then you can focus your money in a specific area.
Yeah. And if there's anything that I can do to help, feel free to reach out. And I know our audience is full of other young entrepreneurs, young professionals.
Connect with me. I'm
So,
always down to work. If you need a photographer, I work with your rates.
Yeah.
It's not about the money for me. It's about getting you what you need.
Exactly. And we'll have everything linked below. But Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate this, and super looking forward to see everything that you got coming up, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a great time. I loved doing this.
Perfect.
Good deal.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.
Nice.